Good morning. Welcome back. Pot in America has become a very big business, and now it's being targeted to children and young adults across the country. And we are not talking about the marijuana from years past, generations past. Joining us now to tell her story is mother and director of Every Brain Matters, Aubree Adams. Aubree, good morning. So nice to have you on.
Good morning, Rob. Thank you for having me on.
Aubree, I'd like you just to tell your story, if you would. I know you had to relocate from Colorado after pot was legalized there because of a situation that your son went through in 2012. Tell us about that.
Correct. I'm from ground zero of the marijuana expansion movement, Pueblo, Colorado. And when it legalized here, I didn't think it would affect my family. But soon after legalization, my son started self-harming. And within a year, he was irrational, paranoid, inconsolable, delusional. And he was repeating things that didn't make sense. And he tried to take his life. After he was hospitalized, he was still suicidal. I took him back to the ER where they told me it's just marijuana and sent us home. He did not get better. I couldn't leave him alone. We weren't sleeping. He was out of his mind, and I did not understand what was happening. I took him back to the ER where I begged for help. I thought he was going to die. I didn't think I could keep him alive. And they said, well, you were sent home a few days prior because there was no available beds for him. Well, I begged the psych liaison for help, and he found a bed for him in a town north of us, Colorado Springs. When my son was discharged from that facility, I said, I just don't understand what's going on. And he said, Mom, I was smoking dabs. And I was like, what is a dab? And he said, Mom, it's like strong marijuana. It's crack weed, is the way he described it. And so that took us on a pathway of just addiction.
And how is your son now?
Well, it's been many years. We lived in crisis for about 2 years after that, with some peaceful moments and just insanity moments. I couldn't find help for him. Inpatient treatment rehabs do not treat for marijuana addiction.
Right.
And I found, by the grace of God, I found a place in Houston, Texas, ground zero for the youth recovery movement. And he was surrounded by healthy, sober peers and a community that supported his health, and he got 3 years of sobriety there.
Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear that. Aubree, this, I think, and I don't mean to cut you off, but we only have about a minute left. This has become a $30 billion industry here in the U.S. And I think a lot of people say, look, there's not much to pot. Pot should be legal in all 50 states across the country. This is not the pot of, say, my parents' generation. We're talking about, again, DAPs, which I didn't know what that was, but super strong forms of pot in vapes. Lollipops and sodas are now being targeted to children and young adults. What's the difference between maybe what's available now and what was available, say, 30 years ago?
Well, this legal state-sanctioned marijuana is an industrialized drug, and it's purposely designed to target our children and hijack their brains and cause the disease of addiction and cause mental illness like psychosis, and has a 5-fold increase for schizophrenia, which is chronic psychosis.
Wow.
So this is addiction for profit economics, just like the tobacco industry did, except this is way worse because it is turbocharged THC that delivers chemical assaults to our children's brains.
And do you support, right now, 7 states are going to be voting to change cannabis rules coming up in November, so about 3.5 months from now. Do you support that?
I do not support the legalization of marijuana. I do not support drug promotional policies and the biggest addiction, mental health crisis of our time. It is destroying our children. It is destroying our country, and it is linked to the increase in violence here too.
Yeah.
So no, absolutely not. And anybody who's pro-family, pro-children should never support these policies. A few people get rich, elite drug dealers get rich, while we pay the price.
Again, $30 billion industry expected to double by 2025. There were not marijuana dab lollipops available when I was growing up. Certainly my parents' generation, that was not available. That's available now, and who do you think they're targeting with that? Children and young adults. Aubree Adams, thank you so much for being with us this morning. We appreciate you telling your story. Thank you.
Thank you.